Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. Once again, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching. Hello everybody, I'm Ed Robinson, and welcome to another exciting edition of Extra Base Hit. This is the program that gets you caught up on anything and everything happening around the world of Major League Baseball. Coming up on this edition of the program, we'll have DaveBartley on the program. Dave is a baseball aficionado, appearing on the program to recap the 2023 Major League Baseball All-Star Home Run Derby, All-Star Game, and this year's All-Star Game venue, T-Mobile Park in Seattle, Washington. Also, we'll give you a look at the current league leaders and standings in Major League Baseball. So stay tuned for this edition of the show. I want to start off with my top three storylines. I want to start off talking about the Major League Baseball All-Star festivities in Seattle. First of all, great festivities, great weekend that was in Seattle. And the Home Run Derby was amazing. It was a thrilling one where we had competitors such as Luis Robert Jr. from the Chicago White Sox, Adley Rutschman from the Baltimore Orioles. We also had Adolis Garcia from the Texas Rangers, Randy Arozarena from the Tampa Bay Rays. Also, we had Mookie Betts from the Los Angeles Dodgers and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. from the Toronto Blue Jays. And we had Pete Alonso from the New York Mets and Julio Rodriguez from the Seattle Mariners. Now, Julio playing for the home team, the Seattle Mariners, that first round was amazing. He hit 41 home runs. And certainly his performance in the first round was able to get him in the semifinals as he would take on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And also in the semifinal round, we had Luis Robert Jr. going up against Randy Arozarena. And in the finals, we had Randy Arozarena going up against Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It was a close one, but in the end, Vladimir would go on to win the Home Run Derby and become the 2023 Major League Baseball Home Run Derby champion. Vladimir hit 25 home runs, while Randy would go on to hit 23. So while that was an amazing Home Run Derby, the All-Star Game, that was an exciting one as well. It was a close one, but the National League would hold on to win. Final score would be 3-2. Thanks to Elias Diaz coming up big with a major hit to give the National League a comfortable lead, actually hitting a two-run home run at the top of the eighth inning to give the National League the lead, and they would take the victory. So this was the National League's first time winning the All-Star Game since 2012. And for a minute, the American League, up into the sixth inning, they had it. They had this game won, but hey, Elias Diaz, representing the Colorado Rockies, hit a two-run home run in the top of the eighth inning to give the National League the lead and a 3-2 victory. And Elias would go on to win this year's All-Star Game MVP, and rightfully so. I mean, hey, he came up big in the clutch when the National League needed it the most, and certainly Elias did his thing. So overall, this All-Star weekend in Seattle was amazing. It was a fun All-Star game. The Home Run Derby was amazing. The fans loved it. The fans enjoyed it. And if you had a chance to watch the fans at T-Mobile Park, it was a sellout. It was a sellout at the Home Run Derby. Also, the All-Star Game was not an empty seat. And also, too, just the whole weekend, the festivities were amazing. And certainly, again, Major League Baseball, when it comes to the home run, well, I should say not just the Home Run Derby, but overall the All-Star festivities, it's the best. In my opinion, I think the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is the best in sports, and certainly it's just phenomenal to see these talented athletes do their thing, and what a great All-Star Game, and what a great job that the city of Seattle did. And we're going to get more into the All-Star Game a little bit later on in the interview with Dave Bartley. My next storyline is going to be Max Scherzer. So, you know about Max Scherzer, right? He's a proven veteran, stats, accomplishments galore, 8-time All-Star, 3-time Cy Young Award winner. He's led the league in wins multiple occasions. And by the way, he's also a World Series champion during his time with the Washington Nationals. So Max Scherzer, been with the New York Mets since 2022. You know about the Mets. The Mets rolled out the red carpet not only for Max Scherzer, but for also some big-time free agents, spending a lot of money. And yeah, they did spend a lot of money, but so far it hasn't translated over to wins. Well, during the week, the New York Mets, desperate, trying to get some wins, trying to fight for a wild card spot in the National League, they traded Scherzer to the Texas Rangers. So Max Scherzer, again, the previous contract that he had, well, in his current contract with the Mets is that he had a no-trade clause, but he waived the no-trade clause, and the trade became official. So the New York Mets, again, traded their ace, Max Scherzer, to the Texas Rangers, along with $35.5 million in cash for shortstop prospect Luis Angel Acuna. And also, as a part of the deal, Scherzer will opt in to his 2024 player option, which is worth more than $43 million. So both teams went out in this trade. First of all, the Texas Rangers, they went out in this deal. Nathan Eovaldi is currently hurt as this show is airing. He's on the injured list. Also, Texas has had problems as of late with their pitching. So with Scherzer coming in from New York, that's going to make a big difference. You know, Max, you know about Max. He throws the heat. He throws that fastball and that changeup. And, you know, Max, he just brings the heat. And Max is certainly somebody that the Texas Rangers are definitely going to need. And the New York Mets, they went out on the deal as well. Remember, they spent a lot of money, not just on Scherzer, but also on some big-name free agents, like a couple of years ago landing Francisco Lindor, and then this past offseason getting Justin Verlander from the Houston Astros. So the Mets freed up some cap space. Hopefully it'll give them an opportunity to sign some free agents in the offseason, or maybe with the trade deadline approaching, maybe it'll give them the opportunity to make a play and maybe get some up-and-coming players from the farm system. So both teams win on this deal. And again, Max Scherzer, and I have a confession to make, me being a New York Mets fan for such a long time. Sad to see him go, but I wish him the best of luck to his Rangers. And I know that the Mets, let's just say it's been all steak and no sizzle this year for the New York Mets. They paid a lot of money for these free agents, and they didn't get the return on their investment, at least, you know, from a lot of the players, and they spent a lot of money. Steve Cohen and the rest of the gentlemen in Mets management, they rolled out the red carpet, and they haven't had the return on that investment as of yet. And I guess the first step to trying to save the season and save future seasons was trading their ace, Max Scherzer, to the Texas Rangers. So again, Max is now with the Texas Rangers. He's now in Arlington, so hopefully he can give the Rangers a much-needed help in that pitching rotation, because again, they have Nathan Eovaldi is currently on the injured list as this show is airing. So it's certainly going to be interesting, because the Rangers, again, they've had their injuries. They're trying to get a playoff spot or maybe sneak in and get that wild card. So Max Scherzer hopefully can give them a shot in the arm for the Rangers and help them out, not just in the pitching rotation, but hopefully to get them on winning ways yet again. And for my last storyline is going to be the Baltimore Orioles. You talk about offense personified. Man, the Baltimore Orioles have been rocking and rolling. What a month of July that they've had. Currently, their record in the month of July, as this show is airing, is 16-9. And certainly, the Orioles, the magic is back currently at Camden Yards in Baltimore. As this show is currently airing, they're currently in first place in the American League East. Just actually, the Tampa Bay Rays have just three losses behind Baltimore. But Baltimore, as I mentioned earlier about that offense, has been outstanding. Anthony Santander, Gunnar Henderson, Ryan Mountcastle, Adam Frazier, and of course Adley Rutschman, who just dazzled us all, fans, journalists, people from all walks of life at the Home Run Derby in Seattle. And Adley's been doing his thing with the Orioles this year. And man, we talk about the offense, but how about the ace, Felix Bautista? Felix, he's going to have over 30 saves this season. That's not just opinion. That's going to be fact. And Felix throwing the heat. And I always say, when the playoffs approach, you got to have defense and you got to have pitching, and especially a closing pitcher. And Felix Bautista, hey, he's been handling his business this year, and certainly he is going to go well over 30 saves this year. He may go over 40. Who knows? And also the pitching rotation when you got Dean Kramer, Kyle Gibson, and also Mike Baumann, just to name a few. So Baltimore, again, no one expected the Baltimore Orioles to be at the top of the American League East. When you think of the American League East, you think of Tampa Bay, you think of Toronto, and of course you think of the two juggernauts in that division, the Boston Red Sox and, of course, the Bronx Bombers, the New York Yankees. And also, kudos to the manager of the Baltimore Orioles, Brandon Hyde. I know Brandon is definitely going to get some strong consideration for Manager of the Year. Done a great job this year with the Baltimore Orioles. It's a young team. It's a dynamic team. It's a great team. And certainly, I mean, the Orioles, again, they're making that push to that lead in the American League East, and hopefully they can march into September well ahead and hosting home games in the playoffs. But, man, kudos to the Baltimore Orioles. And, I mean, just a great job with that offense and what they're doing with that pitching rotation, especially with Felix Bautista being the closing pitcher for that team. Definitely outstanding. All right, when we come back from the break, we'll give you the current league leaders and standings in Major League Baseball. That's coming up after the break. I'm Ed Robinson, and you're listening to Extra Base Hit.
Oops. Sorry.
Get on top of it before they do. Every 24 minutes, tipped furniture or a falling TV sends an injured child to the emergency room. Preventing tip-over incidents is easy, inexpensive, and only takes 5 minutes. Learn how to secure your furniture and TVs to protect children at anchorit.gov.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the program. Now it's time for the current league leaders and standings in Major League Baseball. Let's start off in the American League with the league leaders. The current leader in batting average in the American League is Bo Bichette, representing the Toronto Blue Jays. He's hitting .318. Coming in second place is Yandy Diaz from the Tampa Bay Rays. He's hitting .315. Tied for third, we have Josh Naylor and Masataka Yoshida. Naylor represents the Cleveland Guardians and Yoshida representing the Boston Red Sox. They're both hitting .308. And coming in fifth place is Whit Merrifield from the Toronto Blue Jays. He's hitting at .304. Next category is home runs. Coming in at number one, who else? Representing the Los Angeles Angels, Shohei Ohtani. He's hit 39 home runs thus far. Coming in at number two is Luis Robert Jr. from the Chicago White Sox. He's hit 29 home runs. And then tied for third place, we have Rafael Devers from the Boston Red Sox, Adalis Garcia from the Texas Rangers, and Jake Berger from the Chicago White Sox. They've all hit 25 home runs. Next category is RBIs, runs batted in. Coming in at number one, representing the Texas Rangers, Adalis Garcia. He has 84 RBIs. Coming in at number two, Shohei Ohtani from the Los Angeles Angels. He has 81 RBIs. Coming in third place, representing the Cleveland Guardians, is Josh Naylor. He has 79. At number four, Rafael Devers from the Boston Red Sox. He has 76 RBIs. And in fifth is his teammate representing the Boston Red Sox, Justin Turner. He has 70 RBIs. Next category is going to be hits. At number 1 from the Toronto Blue Jays, Bo Bichette. He has 142 hits. Coming in at number 2, Marcus Semien from the Texas Rangers. He has 121 hits. And then tied for third, we have Jose Ramirez from the Cleveland Guardians, Shohei Ohtani representing the Los Angeles Angels, and Stephen Kwan from the Cleveland Guardians. They all have 118 hits. And then the last offensive category that we have is stolen bases. Coming in at number 1 is Esteury Ruiz from the Oakland Athletics. He has 43 stolen bases. Tied for second, we have Wander Franco from the Tampa Bay Rays and Bobby Witt Jr. from the Kansas City Royals. They both have 29 stolen bases. Coming in at fourth place is Willie Castro from the Minnesota Twins. He has 26. And in fifth is Julio Rodriguez from the Seattle Mariners. He has 24 stolen bases. Let's move over now to the pitching side. Starting off in wins. Coming tied for first, we have a three-way tie for first place in wins. Nathan Eovaldi from the Texas Rangers, Zach Eflin from the Tampa Bay Rays, and Shane McClanahan also from the Tampa Bay Rays. They all have 11 wins. And then tied for fourth, we have Chris Bassett from the Toronto Blue Jays and Dean Kramer from the Baltimore Orioles. Both of those gentlemen have 10 wins. Let's move over now to earned run average, ERA. Coming in at number 1 is Garrett Cole from the New York Yankees. He has an ERA of 2.64. Coming in at number 2 is Nathan Eovaldi from the Texas Rangers. He has an ERA of 2.69. Coming in at number 3 from the Seattle Mariners. He has an ERA of 2.88. Coming in at number 4 is Shane McClanahan from the Tampa Bay Rays. He has an ERA of 3.00. And at number 5 is Kevin Gausman from the Toronto Blue Jays. He has an ERA of 3.10. The next category that we have is saves. Coming in at actually tied for first place, we have a three-way tie for first place in saves. Emmanuel Clase from the Cleveland Guardians, Felix Bautista from the Baltimore Orioles, and Jordan Romano from the Toronto Blue Jays. They all have 28 saves. Coming in at fourth place is Ryan Presley from the Houston Astros. He has 24 saves. And in fifth place is Kenley Jansen from the Boston Red Sox. He has 23 saves. Next category that we have is strikeouts. At number 1, Kevin Gausman from the Toronto Blue Jays. He has 171 strikeouts. Coming in at number 2 is Pablo Lopez from the Minnesota Twins. He has 160 strikeouts. Coming in at number 3 is Shohei Ohtani from the Los Angeles Angels. He has 156 strikeouts. And then tied for fourth, Garrett Cole from the New York Yankees and Luis Castillo from the Seattle Mariners. They both have 149 strikeouts. And that takes care of your league leaders for the American League. Let's move over now to the National League. What a season that this gentleman is having. Currently leading the National League in batting average, Luis Arraez from the Miami Marlins. He's hitting .377. Coming in at number 2 is Ronald Acuna Jr. from the Atlanta Braves. He's hitting .335. Coming in third is Freddie Freeman from the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's hitting at .329. Coming in at number 4 is Bryson Stott from the Philadelphia Phillies. He's hitting at .306. And in fifth place is Ketel Marte from the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's hitting at .296. Next category is going to be home runs. Coming in at number 1 is Matt Olson from the Atlanta Braves. He has 35 home runs. Coming in at number 2, Polar Pete Alonso representing the New York Mets. He has 30 home runs. And then tied for third, we have Mookie Betts from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Max Muncy from the Los Angeles Dodgers, and Kyle Schwarber from the Philadelphia Phillies. They all have 27 home runs. Next category is going to be RBIs, runs batted in. Coming in at number 1, Matt Olson from the Atlanta Braves. He has 88 RBIs. Coming in at number 2 is Nolan Arenado from the St. Louis Cardinals. He has 77 RBIs. Tied for third, we have J.D. Martinez from the Los Angeles Dodgers and Pete Alonso from the New York Mets. They both have 75 RBIs. And in fifth place is Ozzie Albies from the Atlanta Braves. He has 74 RBIs. Next category is going to be hits. Guess who's number 1? Hey, currently leading the National League in batting average, and he leads the National League in hits. Luis Arraez from the Miami Marlins. He has 146 hits. Coming in at number 2 is Ronald Acuna Jr. from the Atlanta Braves. He has 138 hits. Coming in third is Freddie Freeman from the Los Angeles Dodgers. He has 136 hits. Coming in at fourth place is Lane Thomas from the Washington Nationals. He has 119 hits. And coming in fifth place is Bryson Stott from the Philadelphia Phillies. He has 118 hits. And the last category that we have is stolen bases. Coming in at number 1 is Ronald Acuna Jr. from the Atlanta Braves. He has 51. Coming in at number 2, the rookie Corbin Carroll from the Arizona Diamondbacks. He has 32 stolen bases. Coming in third is Nico Horner from the Chicago Cubs. He has 25 stolen bases. And then tied for fourth, we have Starling Marte from the New York Mets and C.J. Abrams from the Washington Nationals. They both have 24. And that takes care of your offensive categories in the National League. Let's move over now to pitching. And we have a 4-way tie for first place in wins. Zach Gallen from the Arizona Diamondbacks, Spencer Strider from the Atlanta Braves, Taijuan Walker from the Philadelphia Phillies, and Justin Steele from the Chicago Cubs. They all have 11 wins. And then coming in fifth place, representing the Chicago Cubs, Marcus Stroman with 10 wins. Next category is going to be ERA, earned run average. Coming in at number 1, Blake Snell from the San Diego Padres. He has an ERA of 2.5. Coming in at number 2, Justin Steele from the Chicago Cubs. He has an ERA of 2.87. Coming in at number 3, Alex Cobb from the San Francisco Giants. He has an ERA of 2.97. Coming in at number 4, representing the New York Mets, Kodai Senga. He has an ERA of 3.17. And at number 5 is Bryce Elder from the Atlanta Braves. He has an ERA of 3.18. Next category is going to be saves. Coming in at number 1, actually we have a 2-way tie for first place. We have Camilo Doval from the San Francisco Giants and Alexis Diaz from the Cincinnati Reds. They both have 31 saves. Coming in third place, Devin Williams from the Milwaukee Brewers. He has 26 saves. And coming in fourth place is Josh Hader from the San Diego Padres. He has 25 saves. And in fifth is David Bednar from the Pittsburgh Pirates. He has 21 saves. And the last category that we have is strikeouts. Coming in at number 1, the hotshot ace representing the Atlanta Braves, Spencer Strider. He has 199 strikeouts. Coming in at number 2 is Blake Snell from the San Diego Padres. He has 156. Coming in at number 3 is Jesus Luzardo from the Miami Marlins. He has 147 strikeouts. And then tied for fourth, we have Zach Wheeler from the Philadelphia Phillies and Mitch Keller from the Pittsburgh Pirates. They both have 145 strikeouts. And that takes care of your current league leaders in the American League and the National League. Let's move over now to the standings, and let's start off in the American League East. The Baltimore Orioles, they currently have a record of 64-41. The Tampa Bay Rays are not too far behind with a record of 64-44. Followed by the Toronto Blue Jays, they have a record of 59-47. The Boston Red Sox are next with a record of 56-49. And then the New York Yankees are last with a record of 55-50. Next up, we have the American League Central. The Minnesota Twins have a record of 54-53, followed by the Cleveland Guardians. They have a record of 53-53. The Detroit Tigers are next with a record of 47-59. The Chicago White Sox are next with a record of 43-64. And then the Kansas City Royals are last with a record of 32-75. And the last division that we have is the American League West. The Texas Rangers have a record of 60-46. And then right behind them are the Houston Astros. They have a record of 59-47. The Los Angeles Angels are next with a record of 55-51, followed by the Seattle Mariners with a record of 54-51. And then the Oakland Athletics, or the Oakland A's, are last with a record of 30-77. Let's move over now to the National League. And in the National League East, we have the Atlanta Braves with the commanding lead in the division. They have a record of 67-36. The Miami Marlins are next with a record of 57-49, followed by the Philadelphia Phillies Phillies with a record of 56-49. The New York Mets are next with a record of 50-55. And the Washington Nationals are last with a record of 44-62. Next up, we have the National League Central. The Cincinnati Reds have a record of 58-49. The Milwaukee Brewers are next with a record of 57-49. Very close in the National League Central. Also, the Chicago Cubs are not too far behind with a record of 53-52. Followed by the Pittsburgh Pirates with a record of 47-58. And the St. Louis Cardinals are last with a record of 47-60. And last but certainly not least, the National League West. Very tight. It's been tight all season long in this division. Never a dull moment. The Los Angeles Dodgers are 59-45, followed by the San Francisco Giants with a record of 58-48. The Arizona Diamondbacks have a record of 56-50. The San Diego Padres have a record of 52-54. And the Colorado Rockies are last with a record of 41-64. And that takes care of your current standings in Major League Baseball. All right, when we come back from the break, I have an interview with Dave Bartley. Dave is a baseball aficionado that always comes on the show and blesses us with his knowledge and just his insight on the game. He comes on the program as we recap the 2023 Major League Baseball All-Star Home Run Derby, All-Star Game, and this year's All-Star Game venue, T-Mobile Park in Seattle, Washington. Dave is coming up after the break. I'm Ed Robinson, and you're listening to Extra Base Hit.
Get on top of it before they do. Every 24 minutes, tipped furniture or a falling TV sends an injured child to the emergency room. Preventing tip-over incidents is easy, inexpensive, and only takes 5 minutes. Learn how to secure your furniture and TVs to protect children at anchorit.gov.
Leftovers or the DMV number 97 or house cleaning or Chumba Casino always brings the fun. Play over 100 different games online for free from anywhere. You could redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. Live the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details. Leftovers or the DMV number 97 or house cleaning or Chumba Casino always brings the fun. Play over 100 different games online for free from anywhere. You could redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. Live the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details. Leftovers or the DMV number 97 or house cleaning or Chumba Casino always brings the fun. Play over 100 different games online for free from anywhere. You could redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. Live the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Boy, those are just line shots crawling over that wall. That one's a little further back. There goes another one towards deck number 2. He's got the bonus already. And 20 doesn't feel like it's holding up, Eduardo.
No, once he finishes in this round, he might be a concierge key. He is letting this one go.
Feel good about your teammate?
Excuse me?
You feel good about your teammate right now?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. He's special for sure.
Okay, so he has both bonuses already, and that's a major advantage that he's going to have over Julio with 12 home runs already. Hit. Make that 13.
So at the very least, this performance here gives the Randy Arozarena fans a reason to believe that he can win this thing.
Clean thrower / manager. And I agree with you. Just the time that he has, what is it, another minute, 32, 33?
And he knows 17, 30 seconds. I can take a few pitches. Yeah. Get my energy going and then do things to win this. Deep ballpark out where he's going there, and a line shot with a lot of topspin won't get out. Another one that won't get out.
You know, I love that he is doing this event because I think he's going to have a monster second half. He's going to find a swing a la Juan Soto did for the last 2 times he's done these events.
He is toasty right now. Got into that one, though. And it goes over the wall. Yeah, but it feels like it's within reach. If he can get that bonus, it feels like it's within reach.
Well, he hit 35 with an extra minute because now we shave off a minute from this round. And that's why I think it's going to be really difficult. But if there's someone up for the challenge, it's the Razor.
I like the number for the competition. I think 25 keeps Randy Arozarena right in this.
I think they went a little too quick, and it took away from Arozarena's consistency.
Randy Arozarena comes up just short. Congratulations to Vlad. He and his dad, both home run derby champions.
Ichiro.
Oh, Diaz!
Yandy Diaz launches a home run over Carroll. Boy, he's amazing. Base hit right field, Luis Arise. He's seen 2 pitches, has 2 singles. On this one, he's tied the game. Luis Arise drives home JD Martinez, and it's tied at 1 in the 4th. Now going 2-2 to Diaz. It's hit in the air to deep left field. Back it goes. Elias Diaz puts the National League in front. At 32 years old in his All-Star debut, a go-ahead home run. Well, you never forget your first All-Star game. You are never going to forget your first.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the program. That audio was courtesy of ESPN, Fox Sports, and Major League Baseball. And you heard Carl Ravitch, Eduardo Perez just at the beginning calling the home run derby between Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Randy Arozarena. They were in the final of this year's home run derby, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. wins this year's home run derby. And then you heard Joe Davis and John Smoltz with some of the highlights from this year's Major League Baseball All-Star game, where you heard Yandy Diaz hitting a home run, and then you also heard Elias Diaz hitting the go-ahead home run to take care of giving the American League a victory in this year's Major League Baseball, or excuse me, in the National League, giving them a victory in this year's Major League Baseball All-Star game. This is the first time that the National League has won the All-Star game since 2012, and certainly this was an exciting one. And to talk more about this year's All-Star festivities, we got to welcome him back to the program. He's a baseball expert. He always comes in and gives his expertise. Let's welcome back to the program Dave Bartley. Hey, Dave, what's going on, my man?
Hey, how you doing, Ed?
Oh, man, all is well, sir. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program. So let's get right to it. Let's start with the home run derby. Now, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. edged out Randy Arozarena by 2 home runs. So give me your thoughts on Vlad winning this year's home run derby.
I think it's about time because Vlad a couple years ago had put on a show, but had ran out of gas and lost to Pete Alonso in the home run derby. So this time around, it was nice to see him finish off, the win and finish out the round strong. But he wasn't even really the talk of the home run derby. It was more Julio Rodriguez and his epic first round. I mean, I had high expectations for Julio going into the home run derby because it was at home. And that crowd is always behind him, so I knew he would perform well. I just didn't expect Julio to crank 41 home runs, and unfortunately for him, he just ran out of gas. You know, I think what we're seeing nowadays in this style of home run derby is that guys really have to not only be consistent in hitting home runs, but they got to pace themselves because you don't want to put out too much too early because then you don't have enough for the next round. And that's kind of what we saw from Julio in the home run derby. But Vlad, I felt, paced himself really well. He got a pretty easy matchup in the first round with Mookie Betts, who a lot of people didn't think would put up much of a fight in the home run derby. So he kind of got a first round bye. But after that, he performed well and performed strong and ended up edging out Arozarena right at the end because that home run derby came down to the wire, and it looked for a second that Randy Arozarena was going to tie it, but that last one didn't make it over the fence.
Yeah, that was a tight one in the final, Dave, and certainly, I mean, you brought up Julio Rodriguez, a.k.a. J-Rod. I mean, that first round was just spectacular and doing his thing in front of the home crowd in Seattle. How many more home run derbies do you expect Julio to take part of in his career?
I think he's going to keep going. I mean, he's still young. He's, 21, I think? Maybe 20? He's still young. I think he still has that passion and that enthusiasm for the game that young players, when they come up, just are infectious with. And I think we'll see him maybe, I'd say, maybe at least 3, and maybe even more than that. He may just continue to enjoy doing it, like a lot like Pete Alonso. Like Pete Alonso just loves playing in the home run derby, so we're going to see Pete Alonso almost every year because he just loves it so much. It all depends on the player, and I think Julio has that enthusiasm and has the ability to represent in the home run derby every season.
Absolutely, and would definitely look to see Julio in many more home run derbies for years to come. Somebody that caught my eye in the first round, we talked about him the last time you were on the program, representing the Baltimore Orioles, Adley Rutschman, not only hitting home runs left-handed, but also hitting home runs right-handed as well, being a switch hitter. Just give me your thoughts on Adley and his performance in the first round.
Adley represented for all of us guys, all of us catchers, because I'm a former catcher myself, and I was a switch hitter too, but I never could hit for power like that guy did. But he's representing for all the switch hitting catchers out there. I couldn't believe the show that he put on. I expected the power from the left-hand side because, we see it most of the time because that's where he mostly bats from the left side because he faces mostly right-handed pitching. But a lot of times switch hitters, when they do take on the home run derby, they declare, like they'll set aside. They'll say, okay, I'm only going to swing from the left side or I'm only going to swing from the right side. We've never seen a switch hitting player take on both sides during a home run derby. And then not only to take on both sides, but to absolutely crush the ball from both sides was amazing to watch. I thought he should have advanced, but obviously it's in the head-to-head matchups. If your number gets beat, you're done. So I thought he kind of got the short end of the stick on that. But man, what a performance from that kid! And he's only a rookie. He's just like J-Rod. He's a little older than J-Rod because he played college ball, but he's a young cat, and I can't wait to see him in more home run derbies in the future if he's willing to participate.
Absolutely. I mean, his first round was just outstanding, and I was like you, Dave. I mean, I saw him started off batting left-handed, then he went to be doing the switch hitter. I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. And he almost took out Luis Robert Jr. in the first round, but he fell short, losing by 1 home run. I got to ask you this now. Any duds from this year's home run derby? Anything you was like, oh, man, this wasn't good. Could have been better?
A lot of people are going to say that Mookie Betts didn't deserve to be there. And I think that's kind of harsh. You got to give credit to a veteran player like Mookie Betts for wanting to go and check this off his list. It's the only thing pretty much in his career he hasn't done. I mean, he's a former MVP. He's a World Series winner. He's got all these accolades on his resume, and I'm sure, first ballot Hall of Famer is going to be on that resume too. But a lot of people are going to say that Mookie didn't belong there, and I think that's a little harsh. But for me personally, I think they need to change the All-Star or the Home Run Derby format, kind of bring it back to the way it was as far as just the highest numbers get through, because I think it really robs us of performances like Adley Rutschman, who I think deserved to be in the next round, but because he was in a head-to-head matchup and his number got beat, then he wasn't able to go on. I think if you would allow players just to not have those matchups against each other and just the top 4 numbers move on, I think that would be a much more interesting style of home run derby, because it allows amazing performances to be rewarded after the first round. I would have loved to see Adley Rutschman and see what he could do in the second and maybe even in the final if he would have made it there, but we got robbed of that because his matchup didn't go in his favor.
Yeah, who knows, Dave? Who knows that Rob Manfred, there's a lot about him, but maybe the commissioner, they may decide to make a change in the home run derby and bring it back to the original format, as you were saying, well, whoever has the highest amount of home runs advances to the next round. But, yeah, it would have been great to have seen Adley Rutschman in the next round, but that takes care of this year's...
I don't think they'll ever go back to the original format, because you remember the original format was you got as many swings as you wanted, but you had 10 outs. And as long as you were hitting home runs out of the ballpark, then those outs didn't count against you, and you could take as many pitches as you want. I think because baseball is, right now, the current state of baseball is so obsessed with this timer and speeding things along, I think we'll see the timer stay, but I think getting rid of the head-to-head matchups would only make this competition even better.
Yep, you're right. Phil, you're right about that. And then hopefully maybe the commissioner or somebody at Major League Baseball will take that into consideration and possibly bringing it back to the old format and maybe making some changes along the way. But this year's 2023 Major League Baseball Home Run Derby champion, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. from the Toronto Blue Jays. All right, Dave. So we took care of the home run derby. Now let's go ahead to this year's All-Star game, and it was an exciting one with the National League and the American League. Now, last time that you were on the program, we both wanted the American League to win it, and they had a nice lead until the 8th inning when Elias Diaz hit the go-ahead home run, the two-run hit the go-ahead two-run home run to give the National League the victory, and he would go on to win the All-Star Game MVP. What were your takeaways from this year's All-Star Game?
I mean, the All-Star Game it kind of boiled down to exactly how I thought it was going to play out. I thought it was going to be, pitching heavy because the ballpark leans more towards the pitchers, and that's exactly what we saw. We didn't see much offense. We did see some good catching from both sides, being able to throw out runners, which is something that you really don't see in an All-Star game. But yeah, the runs were few, and it's exactly what I kind of expected going into the game. I believe when I was on the program last time, I said it would be like a 3-2, 4-3 game, and it pretty much was that. It was a one-run game. It was close throughout, and of course, the guy that I was talking smack on the last time I was on the program hits the go-ahead home run. So it just goes to show you that all these guys that make the roster deserve to be there in one way or another, and you never know who's going to step up in that spotlight to just perform when they need to. And this time it was Elias Diaz, and I don't know if you were to ask, the majority of casual baseball fans who Elias Diaz is, I'm not sure they'd be able to tell you. And now, he's got an All-Star Game MVP on his resume, so he'll be able to cherish that moment for the rest of his life, no matter where his career goes from here.
Yeah, I mean, what a story that he had, Dave. I was listening to the broadcast on Fox Sports, and Joe Davis and John Smoltz was just saying that this was his first All-Star game, and at the age of 32, I mean, you talk about a career thus far of being a journeyman and someone that just waited for his opportunity. He certainly seized the moment and grabbed a hold of the opportunity, hitting that go-ahead two-run home run in the 8th inning to give the National League the victory. Kind of give me your thoughts on Elias Diaz and just with his story and everything coming full circle so far by him becoming an All-Star Game MVP?
You see this a lot in baseball. You see a lot of guys maybe struggle getting through the minor league system, but then when that opportunity presents itself, they're able to make the most of it. I mean, you see that a lot. And the thing with baseball is you got to be ready for that opportunity. You never know if it's going to be, a guy not performing or a guy gets injured, or maybe, it's just the organization wants to give you a shot. And now that Elias Diaz has his shot, he's been making the most of it this year. I mean, he's having a career year. Like you said, he's 32 years old, so his path to the big leagues wasn't an easy one. And the fact that he's able to not only make a major league roster, but then become a permanent staple for Colorado behind the plate, and then not only that, but do that at an all-star level, just tells you the talent that he has. And I'm happy for guys like this because, they just keep grinding. They do it for the love of the game and not for the money. And those are the guys that you just love to watch because there's so much passion in the way that he plays. And you saw it as he was running around the bases, man. You couldn't wipe that smile off of his face as he was running the bases. He was just so happy to be there and so in his moment and in his element. So it's good to see, guys like this get rewarded for, going through the grind, the minor league grind for however many years you had to do it, and finally getting your opportunity and making the most of it. So hats off to him. He deserves it. And he was really emotional after the game, and rightly so. It's been a long journey for him.
Absolutely, and again, it's a feel-good story. And as you mentioned, Dave, it's really tough to go through the farm system and having to grind and pay your dues in the minor league system. And certainly, Elias has definitely did that, and now he's been rewarded as the All-Star Game MVP for this year's Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Another player that caught my eye during this year's All-Star Game, and we talked about him the last time you were on the show, is Luis Arraez. And man, Luis had an RBI single in this game, also got a couple of hits in this contest. Just give me your thoughts on Luis and his play in this year's All-Star Game.
I mean, I said it last time I was on the program. Every time I see him, he reminds me more and more of Tony Gwynn. And I know I said that last time, and I'm not sure what the reaction was around, the people who listen to your show, but I'm starting to believe that. The more and more I see him hit, he reminds me more and more of Tony Gwynn. And just the way he's aggressive in the zone, and his bat control and his bat pass to the ball is just straight through the ball. It's solid contact every time. I mean, this guy's an unreal talent, and I'm looking forward to see what he makes of his career because if he continues on this path, then he'll be up there with some of the great names, some of the great hitters of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you mentioned one of the great hitters of all time. Rest in peace to Tony Gwynn. And certainly Tony was somebody that if you knew him, you knew, if you knew about Tony Gwynn, you knew that countless batting titles, hitting well over 380 for many seasons. And certainly, as you said, Luis Arraez has the chance to have a Tony Gwynn-like career. I want to ask you, are there any other things that caught your eye during this year's All-Star Game?
I think I had brought it up a little bit earlier, but the catching, especially from the starters, I think it was Jonah Heim and Sean Murphy, both of those guys actually threw out runners, which hasn't happened in an All-Star game since the 50s. So it's crazy that both sides were able to throw out a runner, and we haven't seen a runner thrown out in the All-Star game, I think, leading up to this, up until I think it was 2008 is what they had said. So hats off to the catchers on both sides for, being able to show off their talent and getting those runners at second base.
Absolutely. And somebody else that caught my eye in this year's All-Star game, Yandy Diaz, of course, representing the Tampa Bay Rays. He hit a home run in this game. Just give me your thoughts on Yandy during the All-Star game. Yandy
pretty much did what he's done all season. I mean, he got a hanging pitch, hanging slider out over the middle of the plate, and just threw his hands inside and pulled it out of the ballpark. That's what Yandy Diaz has been doing all season for Tampa, really anchoring that lineup down there in Tampa Bay with Wander Franco and some other guys down there. But Yandy Diaz has been doing that all year and playing a really solid base for Tampa. So I wasn't shocked to see him go yard. He wasn't on my short list of guys not to do it. So it's Yandy being Yandy. I would call it. He's been doing that all season.
Yeah, absolutely, and certainly this was a game that lasted. I'm looking at the time of this year's All-Star game, 3 hours and 3 minutes. So certainly, again, as you talked about it earlier with the pitch clock and baseball trying to speed up the game a little bit, and I guess the Major League Baseball achieved that feat of trying to go at no more than over 3 hours, or at least at the 2.5 hour mark. So that puts the cap on the 2023 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. And also, last time I had you on the program, Dave, we talked about the venue, T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Just give me your thoughts on not just the stadium, but just the city of Seattle hosting this year's All-Star Game.
I was recently up in Seattle, actually, in January, my first time up there. It's a great little city, lots of stuff to do. Lots of cool places to see. It's a great tourist town. But T-Mobile Park in particular is a beautiful venue. Got to do the ballpark tour, so it's a beautiful venue. It's still fairly new. I mean, in terms of ballpark ages, it's only about 20 years old, so it's still fairly new-ish. So you still got a lot of the modern amenities in that stadium that you would look to find as a fan. And it's also got a retractable roof, which is cool when the Seattle weather, kind of looms over and starts to rain, they could just close that roof and still play baseball. So it's a great venue. Glad to see that, they were able to keep the roof open for the whole event, both the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game, and just really show the fans of Major League Baseball how beautiful their ballpark is.
I got to ask you a lighthearted question. When you were in Seattle, did you have an opportunity to go to the market and do the fish toss or get some Starbucks coffee? Did you do any of those things?
I did all those things. So me and my buddy Nick, who lives up there, we went to the fish market. We overpaid for salmon just to see them toss it across the market, and we went to the original Starbucks, and we went to the Space Needle, which was cool. There's a lot of cool things to do there. And so if you haven't been to Seattle, I highly recommend it. It's a great little town.
Absolutely. One of the crown jewels of the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast as well, the city of Seattle. All right, so Dave, next year's All-Star Game will be played at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas, which is the home of the Texas Rangers. Have you just kind of give me your thoughts on that stadium where the Rangers play at, because you said that T-Mobile Park in Seattle is a pitcher's ballpark, but we know that Globe Life, we know what the Rangers have done this year. They've put up a lot of offense, and Globe Life is a hitter's park. So any thoughts that you have as we look ahead to next year's All-Star Game in Arlington, Texas?
Well, I would say that the old Rangers ballpark was definitely a hitter's park. I would say that Globe Life actually leans towards the neutral. It's actually kind of right there in the middle of the pack. It doesn't lean heavy on the pitching side, and it doesn't really lean heavy on the hitting side. It's just that Texas has been so on fire this season that it may seem that it leans pitch or hitting heavy, but it's actually right there in the middle. So I think you'll see next year. I think you'll see more of an offensive game. I think we'll see more home runs. I think the home run derby may be even more exciting next year. Because that venue tends to really allow home runs to travel, whereas in Seattle the air is kind of heavy and it kind of knocks the ball down, so you're not going to see balls fly as far as you would think. So Texas, the air is hot, the air is thin, and so you'll see a lot more home runs in the heat of Texas when they have that roof open than you'll see in Seattle. So I think the Home Run Derby will be more exciting. I think the All-Star Game will be more high scoring, maybe like a 8-5, 7-6 type range, somewhere in that range. But overall, I think it'll be a more exciting venue to play baseball in because the ball will travel farther if it's hit hard. Whereas in Seattle, if the ball's hit hard, you've really got to kill the ball to get it out. But not so much in Texas. So we should see the ball fly a little more. We should. You still might get great pitching too. So don't count that out. But for the most part, it'll be a more offensive style of game that fans love to see, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. As they say, everything is big in Texas, and it certainly is going to be an interesting All-Star game next year at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. Well, hey, Dave, this was a lot of fun, my man. Thank you so much once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us. Just tell everybody where they can find you on social media or any websites that you want to put out there. Let the listeners know that.
You can just find me on Instagram at JuiceBoxBartley. That's all I got.
All right, awesome. And you heard it from him. He's Dave Bartley. He's a baseball expert. The man loves the sport, played it for a while, and certainly still keeps up with it. And Dave, again, as always, man, this was a lot of fun. Thanks again. And if ever you want to come back on, just feel free to let us know.
Well, just let me know, and we'll make it happen.
All right, absolutely. You got that. And we'll be back with more right after this.
Boy, those are just line shots crawling over that wall. That one's a little further back. There goes another one towards deck number 2. He's got the bonus already. And 20 doesn't feel like it's holding up, Eduardo.
No, once he finishes in this round, he might be a concierge key. He is letting this one go.
Feel good about your teammate?
Excuse me?
You feel good about your teammate right now?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. He's special for sure.
Okay, so he has both bonuses already, and that's a major advantage that he's going to have over Julio with 12 home runs already. Hit, make that 13.
Well, at the very least, this performance here gives the Randy Arozarena fans a reason to believe that he can win this thing.
CP thrower / manager. But I agree with you. Just the time that he has, what is it, another minute, 32, 33?
And he knows 17, 30 seconds. I can take a few pitches. Yeah. Get my energy going and then do things to win this. Deep ballpark out where he's going there, and a line shot with a lot of topspin won't get out. Another one that won't get out.
I love that he is doing this event because I think he's going to have a monster second half. He's going to find a swing a la Juan Soto did for the last 2 times he's done these events.
He is toasty right now. Got into that one, though. And it goes over the wall. Yeah, but it feels like it's within reach. If he can get that bonus, it feels like it's within reach.
Well, he hit 35 with an extra minute because now we shave off a minute from this round. And that's why I think it's going to be really difficult. But if there's someone up for the challenge, it's the Razor.
I like the number for the competition. I think 25 keeps Randy Arozarena right in this.
I think they went a little too quick, and it took away from Arozarena's consistency.
Randy Arozarena comes up just short. Congratulations to Vlad. He and his dad, both home run derby champions.
Ichiro. Oh, Diaz! Gone! Yandy Diaz launches a home run over Carroll's. Boy, he's amazing. Base hit right field, Luis Arise. He's seen 2 pitches, has 2 singles. On this one, he's tied the game. Luis Arise drives home JD Martinez, and it's tied at 1 in the 4th. Not going. 2-2 to Diaz. Is hit in the air to deep left field. Back it goes. Elias Diaz puts the National League in front. At 32 years old in his All-Star debut, a go-ahead home run.
Well, you never forget your first All-Star game. You are never going to forget your first
leftovers, or the DMV,
Number 97.
or house cleaning, or Chumba Casino always brings the fun. Play over 100 different games online for free from anywhere. You could redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. Live the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this edition of Extra Base Hit. Once again, a big special thank you to DaveBartley, baseball aficionado, coming on the program to recap the 2023 Major League Baseball All-Star Home Run Derby, All-Star Game, and this year's All-Star Game venue at T-Mobile Park in Seattle, Washington. Once again, a big special thank you to Dave. Until next time, everybody, I'm Ed Robinson saying so long, and you've been listening to Extra Base Hit. Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. Once again, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.